Hello, my dear audiences, dear ladies and gentlemen, especially when you happen to be in Southern California or you happen to be in the beautiful city of West Covina, though, you are especially welcome to the show, to the subject today. It is a show that will put lots of positive energies together to imbue our community. Other than that, we don't do nothing. So that's the whole thing, all right? So to be part of it, to start with you, is my good friend, Mr. Joe Gardner, a service member of Santa Monica PD for 27 years, if I'm right, with the record. All right. And also now a candidate of the city council position of the beautiful city of West Covina. We're going to share a subject on the redistricting. So, Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jack, and hello to your audience out there.
And your audience, too.
Yes.
Why don't we say hello to my audience like that, right? Right, good. So, basically, we're talking about, you running for election for the city council is one issue that later probably will touch by touching base with you about your concept and your background, your past, your future, and whatever, your present and your determination, so on and so forth. But right now, with the issue hanging, the redistricting of West Covina, what does that mean?
Well, there's been a proposal. It's AB 278. It's an assembly bill that was introduced by Mr. Roger Hernandez, Assembly Representative for this area, that would remove the option for our city and other cities that have over 100,000 people from having at-large elections. In other words, when there becomes an election and there's an open seat on the council, each citizen in that city has a right to vote for the person of their choice to fill that seat. This proposal, AB 278, is going to require the city to go to a district-based election process, and that would mean dividing up the city into 5 different districts, and then people only residing in those particular districts can vote for that particular seat for that district.
I see.
So, yeah, and it would be a state mandate, not, this isn't imposed by the city.
So it is requesting a state mandate instead of a city mandate to cut a city instead of one block into several.
Right.
By calling them district number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, like we have in the city of downtown LA.
Correct.
Am I right?
That's absolutely correct.
Is there by law a regulation or ordinance, whatever, by certain numbers of population, if your population reaches certain number, so you have to go the districting program or whatever, call it a game, if not gerrymandering, anyway, or it is just somebody's own will?
It's my belief up to this point, each and every city decides for themselves how they wish to be represented. So it's not a state law. It depends on what city you go to. Like you talked about, city of LA, they decided, I guess many years to go to a district-based election. But other cities, have their own choice to do what they would like to do. If they want to have at-large elections, they can do so. It's up to them.
So what is the benefit and shortcomings of doing so and not doing so?
Well, I think number one, what I'm really concerned about at any level, it doesn't matter what kind of law it is, I'm always concerned about larger government, state government, or federal government taking away the rights of cities to decide for themselves what they would like to do. So fundamentally, that's why I'm against this bill. I feel that it's an imposition, a mandate an unfunded mandate, even though the bill says that cities will be reimbursed if the bill does pass. We know how that goes. Oftentimes it doesn't. The city has to foot the bill.
Soliciting.
Yeah.
Very soliciting.
So I'm very concerned about the state government's takeover of elections in the state of California for larger cities.
I see. So by doing simple math, am I right? Correct me if wrong. Say you have 100,000 people for a population in Rothway, right? So now if you stay as one city, one district, you pick up one member, 1 out of 100,000, right? So the math is that 1/100,000 with 5 zeros, right? Okay, now, if you suppose it cuts into 5 though, so if you pick somebody, you're picking 1 out of 20,000. So the math is 1/20,000 with 4 zeros. Am I right?
Correct.
So, so does that mean you reduce the quality of the candidate, of the should-be candidate, because you're taking 1 out of 20,000? For example, if somebody comes here to pick up 1 between us, my chance of getting it is 50%, either you or me, right?
Right.
If somebody walks in to pick somebody among 200 though, my chance get slimmer than 2. So I have to be extra good, extra good, so that I can stand out. Right? I can stick out among the 200. Am I right?
Right.
So, in other words, are you in a sense of going through the election process to pick up the best man, or are you picking up somebody who's kind of relatively good within a certain group?
Right. I think, and that's the idea, is that I think Mr. Hernandez believes that some people are disenfranchised, and that's why we have to go to district-based elections. And I don't believe that's true. I mean, if you look at our current city council, it's a very well-rounded, ethnically diverse council. I mean, you have James Toma, who is of Asian descent. Not sure which one, but and you have Frederick Sykes, the mayor, current mayor, who is an African American.
African American.
Correct, correct. And there have been other council members who represent the Hispanic part of our community. So I don't believe that going to district-wide elections is really the issue in our city.
How many districts is this proposal to cut the West Covina into?
Five separate districts.
So exactly my number of
You picked it.
I'll randomly pick up 5 is right.
Right.
So 5.
Right.
So you are talking about 20,000 as one.
Exactly.
Right? So compared to LA though, what is total population, by the way, of LA City that makes it to be cutting into different districts?
I don't know. I don't know what the population of LA is. I know it's, I want to say maybe 3 million, but you know, I think there are some problems with, as we've seen with the city of LA, and how it pits one council member against another one for resources. And I think part of the problem is that it doesn't look at the city as a whole, but just deposits or how the districts are drawn up. And every council member vies to take care of whatever issue is in that particular district, but doesn't really look at the district, the city as a whole. And I think that the health of LA City is questionable. You know, its infrastructure is collapsing, policing, safety issues. I think it would probably be better served to have an at-large.
Last time I recall, my good friend Peter Choi of downtown Los Angeles City, he was here to talk about the districting stuff, and he particularly mentioned about Koreatown, Koreatown would exactly cut into two halves.
No.
One belonging to District A, the other belongs to District B, to prevent them voting for whatever, one direction.
Right.
That was successfully done. Do you think, oh, by the way, of course, so far, between you and I, we hear only one side of the coin.
Yes.
So, to look into the other side of the coin, though, what do they say, including proposal? I mean, the one who proposed it, what does he say about the benefit of doing so?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I would wonder how those two districts in Koreatown are being served, you know, whether they feel that, of course, they are getting the resources they need within their own respective districts.
I see. Do they have any ideas if this thing is imposed? I know West Covina is my own city. That's why I'm concerned.
Yes.
I'm a concerned resident.
Right.
All right, so put it that way. So, what exactly are the 5 districts if they did go?
We have yet to be determined. Obviously, this is just a bill that was recently introduced. It will cost the city a lot of money that it doesn't have to determine by census how those districts should be drawn up. You know, so it would take quite a process to, number one, evaluate the census and draw up those districts.
In other words, it takes a longer process rather than we thought of.
Right.
Am I right?
Correct.
So now we're in March, looking at the coming election. We're talking about well, less than 7 or almost 7 months, right? Do you think this thing would be mature enough to be exactly practical within 7 months?
No, I don't believe so. I think it'll take many months to draw up the districts. To, number one, evaluate the data. The city will have to do a study. It will have to decide where those lines will be. It will take a long time.
You know why I'm asking? I try to call a spade a spade. I'm a straightforward person. I don't necessarily to be in your shoes. I'm talking about to play fair as media, right? The reason I'm asking is to testify if you go propose, if you go oppose this proposal, it is just because you worry about your own election.
Yeah.
So that will not be the case because so before then your election will be over.
Correct.
You'll be on the council seat if you succeed already.
That's right.
Right? So you're not necessarily worrying about your own election as a candidate, am I right?
That's correct.
All right.
And if I might add something else, if you look at what happened in 2009 in West Covina, they had a measure on the ballot called Measure D, and it was a proposal to go to district-wide elections. 63% of the voters in 2009 in West Covina rejected that idea.
Go against it.
That's overwhelming.
63 versus a 37.
Correct.
That's quite a bit. That's almost that's an absolute majority already.
Right.
All
and
right.
what you have to say is why. Since this matter has already been determined by the city, they've already had an election and a ballot measure and was resoundingly rejected. Why would Mr. Hernandez want to propose this idea again?
Well, all right. Anyway, let's take a short moment out. When we come back, we'll probably continue finding why would this be proposed. Well, I believe he's not representing himself. He might be representing well, quite a bit. You're talking about a constituent basis, right? So stay with us. We'll be right back, please.